In this video, we are going to talk about the top 10 abandoned places. So before starting, please like this video and subscribe to this channel for future updates. When you go on vacation, have you ever considered going somewhere that's been left to its own devices? There are a lot of creepy abandoned places that will give you some spine-tingling adventures, and the majority of vacationers would choose to go to a beach paradise instead. However, if you are an urban explorer or you simply love wandering off the beaten path, there are a lot of creepy abandoned places that you can visit. If you're someone who, like me, enjoys watching other people explore abandoned areas on television or YouTube, then I'm sure you're just as happy as I am about the fact that we'll soon be able to visit some of these locations in person. A trip to a major metropolitan area can be planned by virtually anyone at any time. But what about going to a town that has been abandoned? A location in which human habitation has been rendered impossible by either Mother Nature, the state of the economy, or some combination of the two. Even while going to these deserted and obscure locations in person might not be possible right now, there is never a bad time to start daydreaming about traveling there. The following is a list of some of our favorite abandoned cities throughout the world, which you may use to start planning a trip to in the, hopefully, not too distant future. They are a complete departure from the ordinary and completely fantastic in every way. Are you prepared to go in a different direction? Let's go! It's possible that Pompeii is one of the most well-known haunted abandoned places in the world, but these choices are just as creepy in their own right. It includes everything from disused and incomplete skyscrapers to islands in the middle of nowhere. Number 10. Texola, Oklahoma. The residents of this plains town couldn't put their finger on exactly where they lived. Texola can be found in close proximity to both Route 66 and the 100th meridian, which delineates the state line between Oklahoma and Texas. The surveyors were unable to determine which state Texola was a part of. In conjunction with other factors, such as the Dust Bowl and the building of Interstate 40, this was a recipe for disaster. According to the census completed in 2010, there are still 36 people living in the town. Nevertheless, you are more likely to see tumbleweeds rolling by than a human resident. Number 9. Orandour-su-Glane, France. This village in western France has a rich and interesting heritage to explore. On June 10, 1944, a German Waffen-SS company was responsible for the destruction of the original Orandour-su-Glane as well as the deaths of its 642 inhabitants, which included women and children. There were only a few of people who managed to survive, and a new community with the same name was established not too far away. The original location is now occupied by a museum and a memorial that will remain there forever. Number 8. Glenrio, New Mexico/Texas. Glenrio, which is located on the New Mexico-Texas state line, was one of the busiest gas stations along Route 66 back when it was still in operation. But after the completion of Interstate 40, which quite literally ran through Glenrio, things went from bad to worse very quickly. The town is listed on the National Register of Historic Places in the United States and has retained the majority of its original architecture. The ideal location to stop and take some photos during your upcoming road trip. Number 7. Kennecott, Alaska. If you wish to get to this deserted city, you'll need to have a strong desire to do so. Copper ore worth $200 million was produced by Kennecott during the years 1911 and 1938. The occupants left when there was no more copper to be had. You can discover out why this Alaskan ghost town is located in the center of Wrangell-St. National Park and Amp Preserve, which is the largest national park in the United States, as you make your way along the 60-mile dirt road that leads there. We recommend that when the moment is good, you go to the town with a guide from the National Park Service in order to capture views such to the one that is seen in the photo below. Number 6. North Brother Island, New York. An uninhabited island in the vicinity of New York City? Without a doubt. Because of its remote location in the East River, this island that spans 20 acres was developed. In order to segregate those who were infected with smallpox at the time, the late 1800s saw the construction of Riverside Hospital. Even Typhoid Mary called that house her own in her later years before she passed away. By the 1960s, it had been deserted, and the trees had begun to colonize the abandoned structures. Access to the island is limited by the city, and anyone who wants to go there must first submit an application and receive approval before making an effort to step foot on the island. Number 5. Hashima Island, Japan. When it came to coal in Japan, Hashima Island was the place to go. On this island located east of mainland Japan, there were a total of 5,000 people working in the coal mines at the height of production. The island was eventually deserted in the middle of the 1970s after the country switched to using gasoline as its primary fuel source. You are not permitted to visit the island on your own, but there are options for tours that take you to various parts of it. You may visit the abandoned city without really going there by participating in this tour of it in virtual reality. Number 4. Pripyat, Ukraine. The name Chernobyl may not be immediately familiar to many people, yet it is. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant is located near the Ukrainian city of Pripyat. Pripyat, which had a population of 50,000 people, was evacuated nearly overnight in 1986 because to a CNPP meltdown. Entire communities were forced to abandon their homes, schools, and businesses, with no indication of when or if they will be able to return. The surrounding region was declared an exclusion zone, and no one was allowed to return after steps were put in place to ensure the radioactivity no longer constituted an immediate threat. The abandoned city, as well as the purported strange phenomena caused by residual radiation, has produced a slew of urban legends, movies, and video games. Pripyat may not be doomed, as it appears to be more famous today than when it was alive and kicking. Experts believe that wildlife thrives among the ruins, and some tour operators provide tours of the abandoned city and its environs to the bravest visitors. A radioactive badge is standard issue on such a tour. Number 3. Bodie, California. The gold rush is both a boon and a bane for those who participate in it. At the height of the money grab in the late 1800s, there were reportedly 65 saloons open in Bodie. The town was bustling with activity. However, it took its final breath in 1942 when the post office was eventually shut down for good. In the early 1960s, the previous abandoned town in California was transformed into a historical park by the state. People who want to spend some time away from the Yosemite National Park that is close by will find that this expedition is ideal. Number 2. Kolmanskop, Namibia. Johnny Coleman, an American, left his ox cart there after a sandstorm in the Namib Desert in southern Namibia, and the settlement that used to be there was abandoned, hence it is now considered a ghost town. A development in the diamond mining industry in 1908 led to the transformation of the town from a sleepy German burg into a busy settlement with structures built according to German standards of architectural style and aesthetic preference. Soon after the opulent homes were constructed, other structures such as a hospital, a power station, a school, and even a theater and a ballroom followed suit. The diamond yield began to decrease in the 1920s, but it wasn't until 1954 that the mine was completely shut down, leaving the desert to gradually reclaim the land that had been taken from it. A local company is now responsible for operating the ghost town as a tourist attraction. Number 1. Plymouth, Montserrat. For valid reasons, travelers headed to the Lesser Antilles might not even bother stopping in Plymouth, Montserrat on their way there. This nation's capital was evacuated in 1995 as a precautionary measure ahead of an impending volcanic eruption. After those 2 years, the Soufriere Hills volcano erupted, burying Plymouth in ash that reached a depth of 40 feet. Because the volcano is still active, trips to the area might be possible, but their viability is contingent on the danger level. Even if the warnings are too severe, you are still able to go on a boat tour. What do you think about our video? Let us know in the comment box below. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel for our future updates. Thank you.